say there's some budding attorneys out there that are having to make this call. What would your advice be to them?
I think for each person it's different, and I think they really have to decide what's important to them. There are some people out there who really want to achieve as high as they can in their careers. Time with family is not as important.
Yeah,
And for them, I think it's right to stay at big firms and put in lots of hours and really reach for the stars
yeah,
in terms of their career. Personally, and I think for most people, nobody ever dies wishing I had billed more hours. People
yeah,
do die wishing they'd spent more time with their family. And I think having kids and having a family is one of the most rewarding things you can do. Most workplaces, they may be respectful, but they'll take what you'll give them. And if you'll work harder, they'll take it. And if you say, this is my line, and you have to respect it, they may not be okay with it. There are some firms that will say that this is not the place for you, or that's fine, but you're never going to be a partner here.
Hi, David. It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you too, Emma. How are you doing?
Yeah, really well, thank you. What's that stuff behind you?
So these are my toys. These are mostly products created by my clients.
Oh, wow.
So the helmet is by one client. It's a Mandalorian helmet. One of my friends actually is one of the actors who plays the Mandalorian, so that one was kind of
Oh,
special.
wow. Look at that.
The other three are sold by one of my clients, a company called Sideshow that does collectible statues. And they have the one in the middle here is an original character of theirs, and that's actually why they hired me in the first place.
Very nice.
They mostly sell licensed products. The He-Man over here, say Skeletor from He-Man, I was in their office, told them how nice it was, and so they handed me one on the way out.
Very nice.
And then this one here is from Robotech. I'm a big fan, so I treated myself one day and got that one.
Very cool. Well, congratulations. You have been nominated as Power Dad for our Power Dad series 2022. And it's a pretty unusual nomination because the criteria that I sent out was we're seeking nominations for dads who are running a business and yet make time for their family. Single or non-single dads qualify so long as they demonstrate leadership and multitasking capabilities. And David, your wife nominated you. I mean, this is pretty unusual. I mean, and I added one more nugget in there to make it really difficult. Our bonus would be that they also have a compassionate, they're also compassionate at work with employees. And she still nominated you. So talk to us about your family. I'd love to hear more about your wife and your kids and, how old are they?
Sure. So I've been married almost 25 years. This year will be our 25th anniversary. My wife and I met on a study abroad program in London. And she was a year older than me, but she was there for a semester and I was there for the year.
Mhm.
And we met and started dating and both figured, well, this has to be a short-term relationship because she's going home.
Right.
She went home and neither of us could quite let go of it. And so we stayed in touch. I convinced her to move to California. And while I was in law school, we got engaged and got married in 1997. So we've been together quite a while.
Very nice.
And we have 3 kids.
3.
All boys. They're now much older because we started very early, having met in college.
Right.
So 22, the middle one will be turning 20 in 5 days. And then the youngest is 15. So I've got the older 2 are both in college. One is at University of Puget Sound. The other is at Syracuse. The oldest is studying history and the middle one is actually training to be a rocket scientist.
Congratulations. Look at that.
The youngest is, he's a precocious little kid because he's a 3rd kid. But he's in high school here at Van Nuys High School in the medical magnet.
Right, right. So you're obviously a business owner because that was one of the criteria for the nomination. What do you do, David?
I'm a partner at a small law firm called Nolan Hyman. It was originally founded by my partners, Wendy and Michonne. They were both working mothers who basically wanted to make sure that they had time with their kids and could balance their schedules with their careers.
Right.
And I joined them a couple of years into the practice. I was the third partner. And we all had the same theory of practice, which is we didn't think most law practices are a grind. It's about billing hours. And none of us really wanted to live that way or run a
Right.
business that way. And so we all had a very similar idea in mind of building a firm around a lifestyle that enables us to provide high quality services, but still actually live our lives. And we feel like when you let people be themselves, they tend to be happier in their work and provide better service to the clients.
Yes. Yes. So what kind of law do you do?
So I'm primarily a trademark and licensing lawyer. So I'm a certified licensing professional. I do the deals that allow companies to make products like this.
Very
So help
clever.
protect their trademarks and then do a lot of the contracts and all kinds of day-to-day legal issues that come up for them. In most of the companies I work with are either doing consumer products or video games.
I see. Right. And are you based in Los Angeles? You live in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I'm in the San Fernando Valley in Sherman. I live in Sherman Oaks and work in Encino,
Right.
which is where I grew up and was about the last place I ever thought I would live.
Right. Well, look at you. So
So when I got my wife to move to California, she said, "I don't know what your plans are, but I'm never living in LA." And I said, "No problem. I'm never going back there." And sure enough, we had a kid and we decided we needed to move back to LA to be near family. So we
right.
moved back down and we moved to the west side. And I said, anywhere but the valley. We bought a house in Sherman Oaks.
And I mean, LA is beautiful. It's really busy. And so the commute, do you work remotely? Do you go into the office? What's the setup with your work?
Yeah, so I'm mostly in the office. During COVID, I worked from home part of
Right.
the time, but actually I was mostly in the office.
Right.
We live about 4 miles from where I work. So it was really important to me. For most of my career, I worked long distances. So
Got
I'd
it.
be commuting an hour or two a day.
Right.
And when I went out on my own and when I joined this firm, it was really important to me to be near home so that when things came up with the kids or with family, I would be available and be able to participate.
What was that one tough time where you had to make some tough decisions? One tough decision. Let's talk about one
So
where it really was going to have an impact on your business and your family.
So I go back to actually earlier in my career. I started my career working at a very large national firm doing primarily litigation. And I had been at this firm, the year that I moved, I had started in San Francisco.
Right.
And so the year that I moved back to Los Angeles was a tough year. My first son had been born, I had moved. And so I don't know if you know how this works, but most law firms have minimum billables.
Yes.
You have to bill a certain number of hours a year. My firm was considered a lifestyle firm because my minimum billable was only $19.50, which works out to billing roughly 8 hours a day, a little more than that actually.
Right.
And so that year that we had moved, I billed 1950.2, just over the minimum.
Mm.
And two of the senior partners who I'm still friends with did my review that year. And they brought me in and they said, "Look, we love you. You're a good lawyer. We're very happy with your work, but we need to talk to you about your hours. You exceeded the minimum." They were very true to their word. They said, "You did what we need you to do. So we're not giving you a hard time about that." But they said, "We think that you want more than just the minimum. We think you want to be a partner at this firm. And if you want to be a partner, it takes more than just getting by. We want to see that you're going to do more than the minimum."
Right.
And it was sort of a crossroads in my career. And I said to them, "Look, if you're telling," I explained, I said, "I don't usually do the minimum. I'm usually over that. There were just special circumstances this year, and I was so close to the minimum because I worked the last day of the year to make sure that I got over that line, to make sure I was giving you at least what you required."
Right.
But I said at the same time, if you're telling me that what it really takes to make partner here is I have to bill 2,200 or 2,300 hours a year, you should fire me now because I'm not that guy. I said, I have a family at home and they're a priority for me, and I'm just never going to be doing that. And their jaws dropped. I don't think they ever had an associate say that to them. And to their credit, they said, "No, that's not what we're saying. We really just mean you can't just skate by. But if you are working beyond the minimum and doing, enough what you think is right, we're okay with you spending time with your family." And to their credit, 2 years later, or 3 years later, I made partner at that firm. it was a moment where I think a lot of people would have said, oh no, I'll definitely work more hours, don't worry about it. Now, I felt like it was the time for me to plant my stake in the ground and tell them what was important to me. And either they were okay with it or they weren't. And
Right.
I'd rather find out early that it's not okay and not put my time into it than find out 3 years later that I wouldn't be eligible for partnership because of
Got it. Well, congratulations. You've been nominated and awarded Power Dad for this year by your wife.
it.
So this is kudos to you, David. And I think that your advice here hopefully will help another attorney that's going through the same dilemma or conundrum. You know, should I just burn myself out and make partner, or do I balance it out with my family? And I think everyone's going to be different, but I think your family values the fact that you put them on equal footing as your career, if not more. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, David.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. I appreciate the
I'll see you
nomination.
back here next year.
I'll have to go home and thank my wife.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks. Take care.